Good day, everyone, and today we're going to have a look at how to leverage online and e-learning quickly and effectively while minimizing cost, solutions specifically for South Africa. The first thing we're going to have a look at is a high-level overview, including our platforms. Right, there are various different platforms that we can use for e-learning. These include Google Classroom, Moodle, Blackboard, and MS Teams, amongst others. Google Classroom requires some lead time and training. Moodle requires a longer lead time for development and comprehensive training, while Blackboard is just economically not feasible for most implementations, right? And also requires a long lead time with extensive training. MS Teams, short time to implement and minimal training. Now, in our context, given that our students are losing a lot of time currently with the lockdown, right? We want something that can be implemented quickly and yet still be effective. And that rules out most of the options listed here and leaves us with MS Teams. But before we get to that, let's have a look at what our fundamental requirements are. All right, what do we need? We need something that can be implemented easily and quickly. The time frame needs to be short. So time frame, no long lead times for development, no extended deployment timeframes, and quick student and teacher access. Right? In terms of cost, we want to minimize cost as much as possible. So free software for students and teachers, right? Minimal cost to implement, deploy, maintain, and update. We also need to look at, in the South African context, our bandwidth usage. So we want minimal bandwidth usage or data usage as far as right. It needs to be effective. It needs to allow for easy collaboration between students and teachers, voice, video, chat, document collaboration. It needs to offer functionality that supports learning, like a whiteboard or screen sharing, forms. Always available resource repository. This is one of the fundamental things that's required right now. We want all our students to have access to resources, and we want that access to be quick and easy. Right? Immediate real-time notifications via mobile, right? Whatever we use, right, needs to be effective in the real world, and you want students to be notified immediately of any updates. Instantly accessible updates to material, mobile app for Android and iOS. Obviously, we don't know what devices a student will be using for access, so it needs to be universal. It needs to be available across all platforms, mobiles, desktops, laptops, and tablets, so that students can learn anywhere. In terms of training, this is something else that's important for us to look at, right? We need the system that we choose to be easy to use for teachers and for students, right? What this will mean is quicker adoption, right? Extensive training means you lose time, but it also means that the participants are less likely to adopt a system if it's difficult to use or if it takes extensive training. So minimal training, which can be done via online and offline presentations. Technology leaders will need to be appointed within each school or each district to make sure that everybody is up to speed. And we need to be productive within hours, not days or weeks. Additional resources for students, right? Email access, right? Every student should have some sort of email access. You also want them to have access to productivity tools like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Some of these may be more beneficial to staff than students, right? For organizational purposes. And we require cloud storage. In terms of data and devices, right, reduced data costs are coming through from various service providers during this time, right? Government would need to take an active role here in negotiating with service providers for lower data costs and ensure that students have access to well-priced devices that will allow them to participate. So what's the solution? Right, MS Teams. Right, Microsoft actually offers all educational institutes, all registered educational institutes, free access to Office 365. right? So you are able to register your institute and get Office 365 educational licenses for all your students free from Microsoft. Right, we'll need to implement MS Teams for improved teaching and learning. This can be implemented in a very short time frame. Provides for all requirements listed previously, except obviously for the data and device costs. So by subscribing to Office 365 and our educational licenses, right, all the requirements I listed previously are met. We also need to leverage these systems for our purposes. So there's no point having a system in place when it's not being used for the purposes that it's intended for. In order to do this, we'll need to apply a phased approach, so a small number of essential services to start with. Why do we want to do this? We don't want to overwhelm students and teachers with a host of apps and tools, which then lead to confusion, leads to no consistency, right? We want a small number of essential services to start with, right? It's easier and faster to implement. There's minimal training required for teachers and students. Training can be done through the same portal, even if the users don't have access to this portal at the time. Faster user adoption due to ease of use, right? And advanced services available for those that wish to make use of them. So even though we're starting with a small number of services, right, the advanced services are there for those that wish to take advantage of them. Previous successful implementations, I personally implemented Office 365 Team Solutions in 2018 for an independent tertiary institute. Quick and easy adoption was the name of the game, and we were very successful in implementing this. There was proven uptake and buy-in from staff and students, improved coordination and collaboration for staff and students, improved productivity, very important. It's not just a case of teaching and learning, right? It's also being productive and being able to organize amongst the staff themselves. Improve student results, and very importantly, MS Teams in this organization actually replaced email as the primary communications tool. It's just that good. There's no need for email anymore. One app for all communications, resource sharing, chats, voice and video lessons, and more, all with live real-time notifications. Right? Very important here as well is that we can record and transcribe lessons for later review. So if a student missed out on a virtual lesson, right, this can be recorded, put up on the site, and any student may access it at any time. There's also persistent chat with all activity available for later review and audit purpose. So what's the roadmap? How do we get there? From an educational perspective, Office 365 educational account will be required. Phased training and usage, starting with Teams, email, and whiteboard. Why have I started here? Right, these are the core items that you can use to become productive immediately. This will provide organized and effective resource sharing as well. Notes, past papers, audiovisual media, all with instant real-time updates and notifications. Also live video virtual classroom for training to take place when students cannot come to class, right? Or for extra lessons so that students can catch up. Lessons and virtual classroom sessions can be recorded, as we said, and transcribed for later access and review. And we've got the whiteboard tool in addition to screen sharing, which assists with effective teaching. Teams and channels can be organized for effective, efficient communication. Teams and channels are a way to organize your students to make sure the right students are getting access to the right information and are being notified when information pertinent to them is being distributed, disseminated, or changed. Study groups are available for collaborative learning, and then progressive features and tools can be rolled out in phases as we move on. In terms of the technical roadmap, right, obviously all those things are well and good, but the system still needs to be implemented and as quickly as possible. Very simple. A domain and subdomain registration per school and district will need to be set up. and these are customizable. We'll need to create an Office 365 instance. Once that's done, we can create accounts for all students automatically, so there's no long lead times with the use of customizable scripts. All we really need is a spreadsheet of some sort with the students, all the students' details, name, surname, etc. Right? And we can automate the creation of these accounts. So it doesn't take days or weeks to capture this information. It's almost instantaneous. Instant access for staff and scholars once these accounts are created. Universal access via web browser, PC, and mobile app-based access. Staff and student training can be provided online through the Teams portal itself, even if the accounts have not been created yet. Teams and channels templates for quick and effective rollout instead of having to worry about what teams and what channels you're going to create. All right, we have a template for quick and effective rollout, and these can be customized later on an ad hoc basis. And then administration and maintenance training for local IT admins. If your school has a local IT admin, we can train them to administer and maintain the system. So, anyone wanting more information, if your school wants to move on or explore using the system and you want more technical information, please feel free to contact me. My LinkedIn profile link is on screen. I'll be happy to provide additional information. Right. As for government, the Minister of Education and our President, I am sure they're looking into innovative and workable solutions that can assist our teachers and students during this time. Right. I'm happy to provide complete technical specs and training. However, I'm sure a request for assistance from Microsoft will be well met. Microsoft are very good about their educational products and their educational systems. Right? And you'll be able to get assistance from them at the highest levels. Just a little bit about myself. If you want to know more, check out my LinkedIn profile. As I said, any feedback or any queries, please feel free to contact me.